Right now, there's a fish swimming around at depths that would crush you like a soda can before you even got close. No tank, no submarine, no amount of training would help. The pressure down there is the equivalent of 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of your body. And that fish? It's just vibing. Living its best life in a place humans will never, ever reach without serious hardware. So how deep are we talking? And what kind of nightmare fuel is lurking down there? Keep watching and find out. Here's the thing about the ocean. We love to pretend we know it. We've got maps, submarines, documentaries narrated by people with soothing British accents. But here's the reality check. We've explored about 5% of the ocean. 5%. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own seafloor. And the deeper you go, the weirder it gets. The average depth of the ocean is around 12,000 feet, or 3,600 meters. That's already deeper than most humans could ever dream of reaching. But some parts, they go way, way deeper. For instance, bottoms out at nearly 36,000 feet, or 11,000 meters. That's almost 7 miles straight down. Mount Everest could fit in there with a mile to spare on top. And it's not empty down there. It's full of life. Weird, alien, deeply unsettling life. The kind of creatures that make you wonder if evolution was just messing around. So let's meet them. Starting with number 9. Number 9. The Dumbo octopus. Depth range: 9,800 to 13,100 feet or 3,000 to 4,000 meters. Okay, so this one's actually kind of adorable, which is rare for deep-sea creatures, most of which look like they were designed by a committee of sleep-deprived horror writers. The Dumbo octopus gets its name from its ear-like fins that flap on either side of its head, making it look like Disney's famous flying elephant. Cute, right? Wrong. Because this little guy lives at depths where the pressure is around 118 times what you experience at sea level. That's like having 118 atmospheres pressing down on every square inch of your body. Your lungs would collapse. Your organs would liquefy. You'd be done before you even knew what hit you. But the Dumbo octopus, perfectly fine. It's got a semi-translucent body, no ink sac, because what's the point of a smoke screen in total darkness? And it glides through the water like a tiny ghost. There are around 17 different species of Dumbo octopuses, and they're the deepest living octopuses we know of. They hover just above the ocean floor, snacking on worms and crustaceans, completely unbothered by the fact that they're living in what is essentially an alien planet. And here's the kicker. They're not aggressive. They're not even particularly fast. They just exist in a place so hostile that nothing else can bother them. It's the ultimate flex. Living somewhere so extreme that you don't need defenses because nothing else is crazy enough to show up. Number 8. The barley fish. Depth range: 2,000 to 2,600 feet, or 600 to 800 meters. Alright, now we're getting into the truly bizarre. The barley fish, also called Macropinna microstoma if you want to sound fancy at parties, has a transparent head. Not translucent. Transparent. You can see straight through its skull to its brain and eyes. And speaking of eyes, they don't point forward like most fish. They point straight up, inside that see-through dome. The fish basically spends its entire life staring at the ceiling of the ocean, waiting for food to drift by overhead. It's like the world's most patient couch potato, except the couch is pitch black and under crushing pressure. Scientists didn't even know the eyes could move until 2004. For decades, every bas-relief specimen that was brought to the surface had its delicate head destroyed by the pressure change. So researchers assumed the eyes were fixed in place, staring upward forever. Then someone finally managed to observe one alive in its natural habitat using a remotely operated vehicle. And surprise, the eyes rotate forward when it's time to eat. Why the transparent head? Probably to maximize light detection. There's barely any sunlight. We're talking about the twilight zone of the ocean, where only 1% of surface light penetrates. Every photon counts. So the barley's head acts like a cockpit canopy, protecting its ultra-sensitive eyes, while letting in every possible bit of light. It's also thought that the green pigment in its eyes filters out sunlight from above, letting it focus on the bioluminescent glow of prey. At these depths, creatures don't just hide in the dark, they make their own light. And that brings us to number 7. Number 7. The anglerfish, or 900 to 2,000 meters. If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know this one. The anglerfish is basically the ocean's answer to a living nightmare. It's got a huge mouthful of translucent needle-like teeth, a body covered in dark mottled skin, and a bioluminescent lure dangling in front of its face like a fishing rod. That lure, by the way, isn't just for show. It's filled with bioluminescent bacteria that glow in the dark. The anglerfish waves it around to attract prey, and when something gets close, snap, game over. The teeth angle backward, so once you're in, you're not getting out. It's a one-way trip to Digestive City. But here's where it gets even weirder. Sexual dimorphism in anglerfish is extreme. The females are the big, terrifying hunters we all know and fear. They can grow up to 3 feet long, or about a meter. The males? Tiny. Some species have males that are less than an inch long, or around 2 centimeters. And they don't hunt. Instead, the male anglerfish bites onto the female and fuses with her body, permanently. His circulatory system merges with hers, existing solely to fertilize her eggs. Over time, he loses his eyes, his internal organs, basically everything except his reproductive system. It's the ultimate commitment. Till death do us part, except you become part of your partner in the most literal sense possible. There are over 200 species of anglerfish, and they're found all over the deep ocean. Some live at depths where the pressure is over 200 times what we experience at the surface. That's 200 atmospheres. At that point, water starts behaving differently. It's denser, it doesn't compress easily, and these fish are built to handle it. Number 6. The giant isopod. Depth range, 550 to 7,000 feet, or 170 to 2,100 meters. Imagine a pill bug. Those little roly-poly bugs you used to poke as a kid and watch them curl up into a ball? Now imagine that pill bug is the size of a football, maybe bigger, and it lives at the bottom of the ocean, scavenging dead whales. That's the giant isopod. And yes, it's a crustacean, related to shrimp and crabs. But it looks like something that should be extinct, or at least relegated to a Guillermo del Toro movie. The largest specimens can grow up to 16 inches long, or 40 centimeters, and weigh over 3 pounds, or 1.7 kilograms. They've got 7 pairs of legs, compound eyes with over 4,000 individual lenses, and a hard exoskeleton that looks like it was designed by someone who really liked armor plating. Giant isopods are scavengers. Whales, squid, anything that sinks to the ocean floor. Food is scarce down there, really scarce. So these creatures have adapted to go without eating for years. Yes, years. One giant isopod in captivity survived for 5 years without eating a single meal before it eventually died. It just sat there, waiting, existing, probably wondering why it was born. When they do find food, they gorge. They'll eat so much they can barely move. Then they go back into starvation mode, digesting slowly, rationing energy like the world's most patient dieter. And if threatened, they curl up into a ball, just like their tiny terrestrial cousins. Except this ball is the size of a small dog, and covered in thick, segmented plates that would make a medieval knight jealous. Number 5. The goblin shark. Depth range, 890 to 4,300 feet, or 270 to 1,300 meters. Alright, brace yourself, because the goblin shark looks like evolution gave up halfway through. It's got a long, flat snout that sticks out from its head like a sword, tiny eyes, and a jaw that can extend forward from its face like something out of a body horror film. That's right, the goblin shark has a protrusible jaw, usually by using electroreceptors in its snout because it's basically blind down there. The jaw shoots forward at lightning speed, snatching the victim before it even knows what's happening. Then the jaw retracts back into the head. Neat and tidy. Except for the whole nightmare fuel aspect. The goblin shark is also called a living fossil because it's the only surviving member of the Mitsukurinidae family, which has been around for 125 million years. That means goblin sharks were swimming around when dinosaurs were still stomping on land. And they've barely changed. Why fix what isn't broken? They're usually pink or gray in color. Not because of pigment, but because their skin is semi-transparent. And you can see the blood vessels underneath. It's like they're permanently blushing. or 3.8 meters, though most are smaller, which makes sense given that they live in the deep ocean where there's not much to chase anyway. Instead, they're ambush predators, drifting through the water until they sense something edible, then striking with that horrifying extendable jaw. Number 4. The frilled shark. Depth range, 390 to 4,200 feet, or 120 to 1,280 meters. If the goblin shark is a living fossil, the frilled shark is a living dinosaur. It's considered one of the most primitive sharks alive today, with a lineage stretching back 80 million years. And it looks the part. The frilled shark has a long, eel-like body, 6 pairs of gill slits with frilly edges, hence the name, and about 300 teeth arranged in 25 rows. Each tooth has 3 sharp prongs, perfect for snagging slippery prey like squid and smaller fish. Once something gets caught in that mouth, it's not getting out. The frilled shark's body can grow up to 6 feet long, or 2 meters, and it moves through the water like a snake. Slow, sinuous, deeply creepy. It's thought to hunt by lunging at prey with its mouth wide open, a bit like a snake striking, except underwater, in near total darkness, at depths where the pressure would kill you in seconds. What makes the frilled shark even more fascinating is how rare it is. Sightings are uncommon because it lives so deep and in such specific habitats, usually near underwater cliffs and slopes. When one does get caught or washes ashore, it's a big deal for marine biologists. Every specimen is a chance to learn more about an animal that's barely changed since the Cretaceous period. Number 3. The fangtooth fish. Depth range, 1,600 to 16,400 feet, or 500 to 5,000 meters. Here's a fun fact. The fangtooth fish has the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean. The fangs are so big they don't even fit inside its mouth. The lower fangs are so long that the fish has special sockets in its skull where the teeth slide into when the mouth closes. Otherwise, it would stab itself in the brain. The fangtooth is small, only about 6 inches long, or 16 centimeters, but it's all teeth and attitude. It lives in what's called the bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone, where absolutely no sunlight penetrates. 0. It's pitch black, freezing cold, and under immense pressure. To deal with the darkness, the fangtooth has developed an extremely sensitive lateral line system, which detects vibrations and movements in the water. It doesn't need to see you. It can feel you, and once it locks onto prey, those fangs do the rest. Despite its terrifying appearance, the fangtooth is harmless to humans, mostly because we'll never be in the same place at the same time. It spends its entire life in the deep ocean, occasionally migrating vertically at night to shallower waters to feed. But even then, it stays well below the depths humans can reach without a submarine. Number 2. The pelican eel. Depth range, 1,600 to 26,200 feet, or 500 to 8,000 meters. Alright, imagine a trash bag with a tail. Now imagine that trash bag can open wide enough to swallow prey larger than itself. That's the pelican eel, also known as the gulper eel, and it's one of the weirdest looking animals in the ocean. The pelican eel has a massive expandable mouth. Its jaw unhinges like a snake's, and its stomach can stretch to accommodate large meals. Because food is scarce down there, when you find something to eat, you eat it, all of it, even if it's bigger than you. The body of the pelican eel is long and thin, almost like a whip. Some specimens grow up to 3 feet long, or 1 meter, though most of that is tail. At the end of the tail, there's a bioluminescent organ that glows pink or red. Scientists think it's used to attract prey, or maybe mates. Either way, it's a built-in nightlight for a fish living in eternal darkness. The pelican eel doesn't have scales. Its skin is smooth and black, helping it blend into the deep ocean. It drifts through the water with its enormous mouth open, scooping up whatever swims by. Crustaceans, small fish, anything unlucky enough to wander into the trap. And here's where it gets even stranger. The pelican eel's stomach glows when it's full, because the prey it swallows are often bioluminescent. So if you were somehow down there in a submarine and saw a faint glow moving through the water, it might not be the eel's lure, it might be its lunch. Number 1. The Hadal's snailfish. Depth range, 22,900 to 26,200 feet, or 7,000 to 8,000 meters. This is it, the deepest living fish ever recorded. The Hadal snailfish lives in the Hadal Zone, the deepest part of the ocean, named after Hades, the Greek underworld. It's down there. At these depths, the pressure is over 1,000 times what we experience at sea level. That's 16,000 pounds per square inch, or 1,100 atmospheres. Your bones would shatter. Your cells would collapse. You wouldn't even have time to realize you were dying. But the Hadal snailfish, perfectly fine. It's got a soft, gelatinous body with no swim bladder, because air pockets would compress and kill it. Its bones are thin and flexible. Its cells are packed with a chemical called trimethylamine oxide, or TMAO, which counteracts the effects of pressure and keeps proteins from denaturing. The Hadal snailfish is small, only about a foot long, or 30 centimeters. It's translucent, almost ghostly, with tiny black eyes and a tadpole-like body. It feeds on crustaceans and other small creatures that live in the trenches. And it's the apex predator down there, because nothing else can survive that deep. Scientists discovered the Hadal snailfish in the Mariana Trench using deep-sea landers, essentially robots that sink to the ocean floor with cameras and bait. When they reviewed the footage, there it was, living at a depth that was thought to be impossible for vertebrate life. The discovery of the Hadal snailfish pushed the boundaries of what we thought was possible. It showed that life can adapt to the most extreme conditions imaginable, and it raised a new question. If fish can live at 26,000 feet, what else is down there that we haven't found yet? Because here's the truth. We've barely scratched the surface. Every time we send a submarine or a robot to the deep ocean, we find something new, something strange, something that challenges everything we thought we knew about biology. The ocean is 7 miles deep in some places, and we've only been to the bottom a handful of times. Fewer people have been to the deepest part of the ocean than have been to the moon. The moon, a rock floating in space 240,000 miles away. So yeah, there are creatures living deeper than humans can reach. Creatures that have evolved in darkness, under crushing pressure, in freezing temperatures. Creatures that look like they belong in science fiction but are swimming around right now, just a few miles below the surface. And the craziest part? We're still finding new ones. Every year, scientists discover hundreds of new deep-sea species, which means the ocean is full of creatures we've never seen, never even imagined, living in a world so alien, so hostile, that it might as well be another planet. So next time you're at the beach, staring out at the water, just remember, there's a whole universe down there. A universe we know almost nothing about. A universe filled with creatures that make these 9 look normal. Sweet dreams.